Welcome to today's daily worship. Today's passage is Job chapter 1, verses 6 to 12. How to suffer well. One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Suffering is never easy to reflect on. However, the fact we all experience suffering means we can't ignore it either. We must wrestle with it. Otherwise, we end up woefully unprepared to cope when difficulties arise. Thinking about God and suffering needs to be part of our faith journey. It prepares us for hard times. Imagine a fire station that waits until the alarm sounds to start planning how they will deal with the incoming emergency. Who will drive the fire truck? Where is all the gear? It would be madness. Of course, this isn't how they operate. Fire stations develop detailed plans before the emergency, so when the bell sounds, everyone knows what to do. The same goes for our suffering. If we wait until something bad happens to consider our reaction, we're in trouble. We need to contemplate suffering before an emergency, so we're ready. The Bible's wisdom literature helps us to do that. It guides us on this difficult thought journey. Today we encounter a famous scriptural discourse on suffering, Job's story. Helen Keller once wrote, "Although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of the overcoming of it. Suffering is part of our human experience. It cannot be avoided. However, how we respond to suffering is something we can have control over." Some of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear will involve people's conquering of terrible suffering. Indeed, the crux of the Christian story is centered around a moment of suffering. Christ crucified. Jesus' victory through agonizing suffering is what changed the world forever. As Christians, we're not called to avoid or deny suffering. We're called to suffer well. With the Spirit's help, we're here to reflect Jesus' light in the darkest places, including within our own lives, and showcase the hope we have in Christ, even amidst pain. It's a tough ask, but it's something we can do when we realize how intimately God is with us through challenging times. As C.S. Lewis articulates, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. Job's story teaches us that the reasons for suffering are complex. However, it also encourages us to realize suffering's existence is not reason to doubt God. Instead, suffering, although not of God, can lead us into a deeper relationship with God. It reminds us that in everything, He's sovereign. Jesus is therefore the best place to go when suffering hits. He will lovingly lead us through the darkness. If you're suffering today, contemplate these two questions. How can you invite God into this difficult journey? Who can you talk to?